We hear a lot in Canada and the United States about the cost of living, in particular, the cost of groceries.
Grocery prices remain the #1 worry.
A new Nanos research survey shows the cost of groceries remains the top concern for families.
A recent Associated Press poll shows more than half of Americans consider grocery costs to be a major source of stress.
A trip to the grocery store is stinging a little more at the checkout.
But which country actually has cheaper groceries? Canada or America? And are Canadians being ripped off? Well, the short answer is yes, but not in the way that you think. In this video, we will fly to the United States and go grocery shopping at a Walmart in America, and then we will fly back to Canada and go grocery shopping at a Walmart in Canada. And we will compare in the two countries the price of 20 common items to see which country has cheaper groceries. And sneak peek, some of the price differences genuinely shocked me. So be sure to watch until the end, because there is one big difference between Canada and the United States that you need to know about, and that in my view is quite disturbing. But before we get into that, welcome back to the channel. My name is Elie Cantin-Nantel. I'm a journalist. If you're new here, be sure you are subscribed, hype and like the video, hit the notification bell, and consider getting a paid channel membership for less than $5 a month. And now let's get to it. Journalism and commentary 1-year anniversary.
I don't believe journalism being funded by the government is the solution. You have to rebuild the foundation. You have to retell the story.
Market conservative
Other news that actually matters.
I hence wanted to ask. I think they should answer their questions, especially if they're politically charged. So here is our methodology. Whenever possible, we'll compare the same item on a per unit basis. For products that are better compared by weight, like meat and produce, we'll use the lowest price per pound or per ounce available at each store, and then we'll calculate the cost based on the typical amount of that item that a person would buy. We'll conduct the entire comparison in Canadian dollars, and we will use the Bank of Canada's currency converter to convert US prices into Canadian dollars. Finally, we'll add up the cost of all the items in each country and compare the two totals. Let's start with dairy products and compare the cost of milk.
1% milk.
A gallon of milk in the US is $3.47 US dollars, which converts to $4.86 Canadian. Meanwhile, a bag of milk in Canada, because Canada likes to bag milk, is $7.08 Canadian, meaning the US has cheaper milk. Continuing on to Greek yogurt, a tub of Greek yogurt in the US is $3.28 USD, which is $4.60 Canadian, while in Canada, a tub of Greek yogurt is $5.56 Canadian, meaning the US had cheaper yogurt. Now let's have some cheese, one of my favorite products. Cheddar cheese in the US was $3.58 US dollars, which is $5.02 Canadian, while cheddar cheese in Canada was $5.48 Canadian, meaning the US has cheaper cheese. Now let's compare the price of butter. 4 sticks of salted butter in the United States was $3.06 US. This translates to $4.29 Canadian, while 4 sticks of salted butter in Canada were $8.48 Canadian. Butter was cheaper in America. As for eggs, we hear a lot about the price of eggs in the US.
$1.47.
$1.47 US is $2.06 Canadian. Meanwhile, in Canada, the cheapest eggs we could find were $3.93 Canadian. So eggs were almost double the price in Canada compared to the US. Now let's look at the price of meat. Looking at chicken breast. Chicken breast in the US was $2.50 USD per pound, which is $3.60 Canadian per pound. And for 5 pounds, that is 18 Canadian dollars,
while in Canada, the price was $6.34 Canadian per pound, which makes for $31.70 for 5 pounds.
So chicken was much cheaper in the United States.
Now for bacon. Bacon was 24.8 cents US per ounce, which is 35 cents Canadian per ounce, or $8.40 for a pound and a half. While in Canada, bacon divided per ounce was 37 cents an ounce. For 1.5 pounds, that is $8.88. So bacon is slightly cheaper in the US.
Now let's look at ground beef. 5 pounds of ground beef in the US was $24.94 US dollars. Divided by 5, that is $4.99 USD per pound, which is $6.99 Canadian dollars per pound. While in Canada, it was $13.98 for 1.36 kilograms. That translates to $19.11 for approximately 3 pounds. Ground beef is slightly cheaper in Canada. Now let's look at tuna. The cheapest can of tuna in the US was $1.63 USD, which is $2.28 Canadian, while the cheapest can of tuna in Canada was 98 cents Canadian. So cheaper tuna in Canada. As for bananas, in the US, bananas were 50 cents US per pound, which is around 70 cents Canadian per pound. For 5 pounds, that would be $3.50. While in Canada, they were 68 cents Canadian per pound, which would make for $3.40 Canadian for 5 pounds. So bananas were slightly cheaper in Canada. Okay, now for apples. So the cheapest apples in the US were Granny Smith apples. They were $1.56 US per pound, or 86 cents each, which is $1.21 Canadian each. While in Canada, the cheapest apples were $2.48 a pound, Canadian dollars of course, which is approximately $1.37 each. So for 5 apples in America, it's $6.05 Canadian, while in Canada, it's $6.85 Canadian. So apples are cheaper in the US. Now for potatoes, a 5-pound bag of potatoes in the US was $3.76 US, which is $5.25 Canadian, while in Canada, $1.47 Canadian per pound. So for 5 pounds, that would be $7.35 Canadian. So potatoes are cheaper in the United States. Now for flour, the cheapest flour in the US we could find was $2.38 for 5 pounds, which is $3.20 Canadian, or 64 cents Canadian per pound. And in Canada, it was this bag of flour, which was 2.5 kilograms for $3.77 Canadian. That is 0.69 cents per pound, or so flour was slightly cheaper in the United States. Now for bread, the cheapest bread we found at Walmart in the US was the sourdough for $1.62 USD, which is $2.27 Canadian, while the cheapest bread we found in Canada was this baguette, going for 97 cents Canadian, so bread was cheaper in Canada. Now let's look at white rice. 5 pounds of rice in the US was $5.34 USD, which is $7.49 Canadian, or $1.50 Canadian a pound, while the cheapest rice in Canada was $12.97 Canadian dollars for 8 kilograms. This makes out for 0.74 cents a pound, or $3.70 for 5 pounds. So rice was cheaper in Canada. Now for pasta, the cheapest pasta in America was $1.94 US dollars, which is $2.72 Canadian, while the cheapest pasta in Canada was $1.27 Canadian. So Canada has cheaper pasta. Now for sauce, garden pasta sauce here, $1.74. $1.74 is $2.44 Canadian, while in Canada, the cheapest pasta sauce was $2.67 Canadian, so America had cheaper pasta sauce. Now for cereal, Honey Nut Cheerios, $3.47 US dollars in America, which is $4.86 Canadian. A box of the same cereal in Canada, $3.33 Canadian. So the cereal was cheaper in Canada. Continuing with breakfast foods, let's get some peanut butter. The cheapest peanut butter in the US was this one, Jif, $6.96 US, which is $9.76 Canadian, while in Canada, the cheapest peanut butter was $4.27 Canadian. And let's finish off with some junk food. Let's look at Coca-Cola. In the US, a case of 12 Coke cans was $8.42 US, which is $11.80 Canadian, while a case of 12 cans in Canada was $8.28 Canadian. So comparing the totals in the United States, everything that we looked at in total, when you adjust for certain size comparisons, comes to $102 in US, which is $143 Canadian, while in Canada, the total of the items comes to $123. While groceries are cheaper in Canada, Canadians are still being ripped off in the two following ways. First of all, you probably noticed that there were pretty significant price differences when it came to dairy, eggs, and poultry, and that is because of Canada's supply management system. So as reported in the Calgary Sun, supply management is a complex web of government-imposed regulation, import restrictions, and production quotas that limit the amount of dairy, eggs, and poultry in Canada. There are quotas, and according to the BBC, a small amount of foreign dairy is able to enter Canada tariff-free or at low tariff rate under said quota limits, and those that exceed the quota limit, while they face tariffs of 200 to 300%. Back to the Calgary Sun, they note that because supply is limited, prices are kept artificially high. Prior to the pandemic, the average Canadian household was paying between $300 and $444 more per year for staples than they would have been if the supply management system didn't exist. At a time when nearly 50% of households say they're $200 away from not being able to pay their bills, how can we justify keeping such a system in place? The second way that Canadians are being ripped off is by the fact that Canada isn't as wealthy as it used to be. The Canadian dollar used to trade above the US dollar, meaning it was stronger than the US dollar. Today, $1 is worth approximately 70 cents US, and the Canadian dollar has lost 30% of its value since 2008, earning the nickname the snow peso. In 2024, a Fraser Institute study found that median employment earnings in Canada, which is what a typical worker earns, were lower in all Canadian provinces than in all 50 US states. In 2022, Canada's wealthiest province, Alberta, had median earnings of approximately $38,000, while Mississippi, one of the US's poorest states, had median earnings of $42,000. Canada's real GDP per capita, which is the amount of wealth generated per person, is about $44,400, while America's is $66,300. Back in 2014, Canada had the wealthiest middle class in the world, but today Canada is poorer than Alabama. So at the end of the day, Canada does have cheaper groceries, but Canada is a poor country. Canada is not as wealthy as it used to be, and definitely not as wealthy as the United States. And it's often the case that when people from a wealthier country go to a less wealthy country, they find the price of items to be more affordable. And that's because their currency is strong against that country's weak currency, and that country overall is less wealthy. So yes, Canada is being ripped off by its political class that has made Canada poor. So this sums up our video comparing the grocery prices. I want to know what you think, so put your thoughts in the comments below. And be sure you are subscribed if you're not already. Hype and like the video, hit the notification bell, consider getting a paid channel membership, and we'll see you again very soon. And until then, God bless.